When I was a young doctor in Tokyo, I often watched the sun rise before my patients arrived. The city would still be quiet, the sky a pale silver, and I would sip a small cup of green tea while reviewing my notes. Back then, I thought metabolism was a matter of simple numbers, calories out. I believed the human body was a machine and all machines slow down with age. But after treating tens of thousands of patients well into their 80s and 90s, I learned something far more fascinating. The human body doesn't slow down because of age alone. It slows down because of how we live inside that age. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever wondered why some people in their 70s still wake up with energy, while others feel drained even after sleeping? They eat similar meals, walk the same streets, and yet one feels light, the other heavy. What creates this difference? Most doctors will say, it's just metabolism, but they rarely explain what that word truly means. Metabolism is not just digestion or energy burn. It is the orchestra that keeps every cell in harmony. It's the gentle rhythm that turns food into fuel, repairs your skin overnight, and keeps your heart beating strong. When that rhythm weakens, you begin to feel tired, gain weight easily, and lose the spark that once carried you through the day. But here's the part most people never hear. Your metabolism doesn't die with age. It adapts. It changes shape, like a river finding a new course when the rocks shift. The secret lies in learning how to flow with it, not fight it. I once had a patient, a retired calligrapher named Mr. Ito. At 72, he complained that no matter what he ate, his weight wouldn't move, and his energy faded before noon. He thought it was just old age. But after a few small changes, the timing of his meals, the kind of movement he practiced, and how he managed stress, something remarkable happened. Within weeks, he began painting again for hours, his hands steady, his mind clear. In today's conversation, I want to share what I taught Mr. Ito and what I've taught thousands since, the real reason metabolism changes after 60, and 3 simple ways to revive it gently without diets, pills, or extreme exercise. So stay with me until the end, because once you understand how your metabolism truly works, you'll never again think of aging as a loss, but as a shift toward balance. When I explain metabolism to my patients, I never start with chemistry or textbooks. Instead, I ask them to picture something simple, a small candle. When you're young, that candle burns bright and steady, warming every corner of the body. By the time you reach your 60s, the flame can begin to flicker, not because it's weaker, but because the air around it has changed. Your metabolism is that flame. It's powered by trillions of microscopic engines called mitochondria. Every heartbeat, every blink, every breath you take depends on these tiny powerhouses turning oxygen and nutrients into pure energy. When they are healthy, you feel alive. When they become sluggish, you feel tired for no reason. The surprising truth is that after 60, your body doesn't lose mitochondria as quickly as once thought. It simply stops talking to them efficiently. The signals that tell these engines to stay active start to fade. This communication breakdown comes from 3 main causes: muscle loss, disrupted sleep rhythms, and silent inflammation. Let's start with muscle. I once told a patient, muscles are not just for strength, they are your body's energy factories. In your 30s and 40s, your muscles act like hungry furnaces, burning calories even when you sit still. But after 60, if you stop challenging them, those furnaces begin to close. You might lose as much as 3 to 5% of muscle mass every decade. Less muscle means fewer mitochondria, and suddenly your body feels slower, colder, and heavier. Then comes sleep. Most seniors I've treated believe that waking up several times a night is simply part of aging. But when your sleep cycle fragments, your metabolism loses its rhythm. At night, the body is meant to repair, to clear toxins and reset hormones that control hunger and energy. Without deep sleep, the hormones leptin and ghrelin fall out of sync. You wake feeling hungry but without real appetite, and your body stores more than it burns. And then, there is inflammation, the quiet thief. It's not the visible kind, like a swollen joint, but the hidden inflammation that lingers in your blood vessels and organs. It starts when cells accumulate damage over time, from processed foods, pollution, chronic stress, or inactivity. This low, constant fire confuses your immune system and slows every repair process in the body. It's like trying to cook while the kitchen is filled with smoke. Nothing works as efficiently. But here's what most people don't realize. These three causes are not permanent. They're adjustable levers. You can rebuild muscle even in your 70s. You can retrain your sleep cycle with consistency. You can quiet inflammation with food and gentle movement. Let me tell you a story. A woman named Keiko came to see me at 68. She was petite, cheerful, and loved to bake sweet bean buns for her grandchildren, but she complained of constant fatigue and a stubborn belly that wouldn't shrink. "Doctor," she said, "I think my fire has gone out." I asked her to tell me about her daily habits. She skipped breakfast, stayed up late watching TV, and rarely walked except to the market. Her body wasn't broken, it was simply out of tune. We began with one small change: breakfast within 1 hour of waking. A bowl of miso soup, a little rice, and a handful of fish or tofu. Nothing extreme. Within 2 weeks, her energy lifted. Her afternoon naps disappeared. She didn't lose much weight yet, but she smiled more. Her body was learning to trust the clock again. That's the first secret to reviving metabolism after 60. Rhythm restores fire. Your metabolism loves consistency more than intensity. Eat at similar times, sleep at similar hours, and move a little every day, not to exhaustion, but to stimulation. But here's what almost no one tells you. Metabolism is not about speed. It's about communication. It's about how well your organs, hormones, and cells listen to each other. In youth, this system speaks clearly. After 60, the message grows faint, not because the system is broken, but because it's waiting for you to speak its language again. And the language of metabolism is built on 3 words: nourishment, movement, and recovery. In the next part, I'll show you how each of these can reignite your inner fire, and how even the smallest adjustments can make the difference between fatigue and vitality. I once told a young intern, "The human body is wise. It only slows down when it's being asked to protect itself." After 60, metabolism does not stop because the body forgets what to do. It slows down because the body senses danger, nutrient scarcity, long periods of sitting, irregular rest, or emotional stress. When these signals build up, your body enters a quiet survival mode, holding energy instead of spending it. But the good news is this: when the body feels safe again, the fire comes back. So, how do we make it feel safe? We begin with nourishment. Most seniors I meet have been told to eat less or watch calories. But metabolism after 60 is not about eating less. It's about eating right. Your cells depend on amino acids, healthy fats, and micronutrients to keep mitochondria working. Without these building blocks, even a small appetite can lead to weakness. If you skip breakfast or eat mostly soft processed foods, your body never receives the morning spark it needs to start the day's engine. I often tell my patients, breakfast is not just food, it's the match that lights the fire. In Japan, many older people still begin their morning with miso soup, a small portion of grilled fish and rice. This combination provides natural probiotics, protein, and complex carbohydrates, a trio that wakes up the metabolism gently. Western breakfasts can do the same if designed mindfully. Oatmeal with milk or yogurt, an egg, and fruit. The point is not tradition, but balance, a mixture of protein, fiber, and warmth. And warmth matters. Cold meals first thing in the morning can make digestion sluggish. Warm food sends blood toward the stomach and signals your body that it's safe to burn energy again. But nourishment goes beyond food. It's also timing. One of my oldest patients, Mrs. Tanaka, 84 years old, once told me, "I eat like the sun, rise, shine, rest." She meant she ate her largest meal during daylight, a lighter one in the evening, and gave her body 12 quiet hours overnight to reset. She didn't know the term circadian rhythm, but she lived by it intuitively. Science now shows this habit supports better glucose control, improved fat metabolism, and deeper sleep. So if you wish to revive your metabolism, try this gentle rhythm. Eat your first meal within 1 hour of waking. Make your midday meal your most nourishing one, and let dinner be light, simple, and at least 3 hours before bed. It's not a strict rule, it's a conversation with your body's clock. Now let's talk about movement, the second pillar. When I visit my old university in Kyoto, I still see retired professors walking the garden paths slowly, sometimes stopping to stretch their shoulders or bend toward the flowers. They are not exercising to burn calories. They are moving to remind their bodies they are alive. After 60, heavy exercise is not necessary, but daily movement is non-negotiable. Even 5 minutes of slow, deliberate walking after each meal can improve blood sugar control by as much as 30%. Gentle resistance, like lifting light objects, climbing stairs, or practicing slow squats, awakens dormant muscle fibers that tell your metabolism, "We are still needed." A patient once asked me, "Doctor, do I have to join a gym?" I smiled. Your home is your gym. Use the counter for balance practice while brushing your teeth. Rise from your chair 10 times before turning on the television. Stretch your arms above your head when waiting for tea to steep. Every motion is a message to your cells. Keep burning, keep renewing, keep living. And here's something few people realize. Muscles also release chemical messengers called myokines. These are tiny molecules that travel through your blood, calming inflammation and improving how your cells use energy. This means every time you move, you are not just burning calories, you are sending healing signals throughout your body. But perhaps the most overlooked part of metabolism is the mind. When stress lingers, your body releases cortisol, a hormone that tells cells to store fat and conserve energy. It's nature's way of preparing for famine or danger. Unfortunately, in modern life, the danger is not hunger, it's worry. Worry about health, family, or the future. One of my dear patients, Mr. Sato, once told me, "Doctor, I feel exhausted, but I'm not doing anything." I told him, "That's because your mind is sprinting even when your feet are still." For him, the solution wasn't medication, it was restoration. We began with 10 minutes of quiet breathing after lunch, eyes closed, one hand on his chest. At first, he laughed at the idea. But 2 weeks later, his blood pressure dropped, his appetite improved, and his sleep became deeper. Stress had been trapping his energy. Once it eased, his body remembered how to heal. So far, you've seen that metabolism after 60 is not just biology, it's relationship. Between you and your food, between you and your body, between you and your rest. But there's one more element few people consider, the role of cellular renewal. The body's ability to replace old, tired cells with new ones depends on something called autophagy, a natural cleanup system that works best when you give your body small windows of rest between meals. You don't need extreme fasting to activate this. Even 12 hours overnight, from dinner to breakfast, can give your cells time to reset. When paired with gentle movement and steady nourishment, this process helps rebuild mitochondrial strength. It's like tending a garden, prune the old, water the new, and the whole system thrives again. In a moment, I'll share how to tie all of this together into one simple rhythm, the balance of nourishment, movement, and rest, so your body learns to trust its fire again. When I was a boy, my grandmother used to dry persimmons on the porch each autumn. She would hang them from long strings, their orange skin turning darker each day. I once asked her why she never rushed the process. She smiled and said, "Because sweetness comes when you stop forcing." Your metabolism works the same way. After 60, the goal is not to force the body to burn faster, but to guide it gently toward balance, to let it rediscover its natural sweetness. Many of my patients spend years trying strict diets, fasting too long, or chasing every new supplement. They may lose a few pounds, but they often lose peace along with it. True renewal comes not from pressure, but from rhythm. Let's begin with food again. Not what you eat, but how you eat. When you sit down, take a breath before lifting your spoon. Look at your meal. Let your senses awaken before your stomach does. This small moment activates the parasympathetic nervous system, what I call the rest and digest state. It tells your body it's safe to absorb. You may notice that you eat slower and even feel full sooner. That's not coincidence. It's chemistry. When your body feels calm, it processes food efficiently and reduces unnecessary storage. Many seniors I meet have spent decades eating quickly between obligations, even in retirement. But the body never forgets this habit. If you teach it stillness again, your metabolism follows. Next comes movement. I often say, aging is not a disease, it's a dialogue. Every step, every stretch, every slow turn of your neck is part of that conversation. In Okinawa, where some of the longest living people in the world reside, movement is woven into daily life, tending gardens, sweeping the floor, walking to the market. They do not call it exercise, they call it living. If you want to keep your metabolism alive, don't separate movement from life. Tie it to moments of joy. Walk after tea. Stretch while listening to music you love. Carry light groceries instead of pushing a cart. Movement without joy becomes punishment, and punishment never heals. But even with nourishment and movement, there is a third key: rest. Modern seniors often confuse rest with stillness. True rest is not just the absence of activity, but the presence of renewal. I encourage my patients to create small rituals of recovery: a short nap after lunch, soaking feet in warm water before bed, or listening to gentle music while watching the sunset. These are not luxuries. They are signals that tell your nervous system to release tension and reset hormonal balance. When the body alternates between gentle activity and deliberate rest, the metabolism learns to dance again. Heart rate variability improves, cortisol lowers, and digestion strengthens. It's a physiological truth confirmed by science, but it's also an ancient rhythm our ancestors knew by instinct. Now I want to share one more story, a lesson I never forgot. A few years ago, I visited a 93-year-old potter in Nagano named Hiroshi. His hands were thin and veined, but when he touched the clay, they moved with steady confidence. He told me, "Doctor, the trick is not to fight the clay, it is to feel its pace." He wasn't speaking only of pottery, he was speaking of life. After 60, your metabolism responds best not to control, but to cooperation. You guide it by listening, noticing when you are truly hungry, when you need to move, and when you must rest. This listening builds awareness, and awareness builds longevity. Here's a simple rhythm I give my patients, one they can remember without notes or schedules. Eat with the sun, move with the breath, rest with the moon. When you live by these three cues, your internal clock aligns naturally with your environment, a concept scientists now call chronobiology. It's why people who rise and eat with morning light often have better glucose control and stronger muscles, even without dieting. And remember, metabolism is not a switch that flips. It's a garden that grows. It needs sunlight, nourishment, pruning, and patience. Each small act, a warm meal, a morning walk, a deep breath, is a drop of water feeding that garden. In one of my lectures many years ago, a student asked, "Doctor, can we truly reverse aging?" I smiled. "We cannot reverse time," I said, "but we can change how we live within it. And that changes everything. So, if you ever feel discouraged, tired of slow progress, of aches, of routines that seem small, remember this. Metabolism doesn't fade because you are old. It fades because you stop asking it to dance. Invite it back, gently, through food, through movement, through peace. Because when your body learns to trust its rhythm again, it rewards you with energy, clarity, and the quiet joy of waking each morning feeling alive, not just existing. And in a moment, I'll leave you with a few final thoughts, a reflection on how to keep that spark alive every single day, no matter your age. As I grow older, I often think of the body as a small lantern in a quiet temple. Its flame may flicker with the years, but it never truly goes out. It only waits for a little more air, a little more care. If you take only one thing from this conversation, let it be this. Your metabolism is not a number or a diagnosis. It is a living dialogue between you and life itself. Every breath, every bite, every gentle movement, they all whisper to that flame saying, "Keep burning." You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to follow trends or chase youth. You only need to begin. One warm meal, one mindful walk, one deeper night of rest. Over time, these small moments weave together, and your body remembers how to heal, how to feel light again. So tonight, before you sleep, place a hand over your heart and thank your body for all the years it has carried you, and for the years still waiting quietly ahead. You are not finished. You are simply entering a new rhythm. And if this message helped you, share it with someone who might need it, a friend, a neighbor, a loved one. Because wisdom, like health, grows stronger when it is shared. Until next time, stay balanced, stay kind to your body, and keep your inner flame alive.